From the green flag to the checkered flag, the Toyota Owners 400 race was full of high drama and heart-stopping moments. Yet, it was Denny Hamlin's error that got everyone talking. What happened wrong, and what effect did it have on the rest of the race? In this video, we'll break down the key moments of the race, examine Hamlin's mistake, and hear from JJ Yeley as he speaks out against his fellow driver. Join us as we delve into the dramatic world of racing on NASCAR Zone. But before we dive into that, do subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. The 2023 NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Owners 400 has at long last come to a successful and satisfying conclusion. On Sunday, April 2, at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the 7th race of the season got underway, and it lasted for 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 37 seconds. The event was held at the Richmond Raceway, and there were a total of 37 participants. This week, an appeals panel decreased the sanctions that had been handed down to Hendrick Motorsports. With what he did on Sunday at Richmond Raceway, Denny Hamlin will have to be extremely fortunate to avoid being laughed out of the room when it comes time for him to make his case this week. The driver of the number 11 Toyota for one of the best-funded NASCAR teams punted the car in front of him 45 laps into the race. The car was owned by one of the least competitive teams in the Cup Series. In light of the facts surrounding the penalty he is appealing, Hamlin would be better off donating the $50,000 to the charitable organization affiliated with NASCAR as soon as Monday morning arrives. At Richmond Raceway, Denny Hamlin ended up finishing in 20th place. According to Jeff Gluck, the live view from the helmet cam can be frustrating at times, since it is difficult to see what is going on in the rest of the race. On the 3/4 mile oval track at Richmond Raceway, Joe Gibbs racing vehicles had a long tradition of outperforming the competition. There have been a total of 18 victories for JGR drivers at that track, with 6 of those triumphs coming from Kyle Busch and 4 coming from Denny Hamlin, who has also been runner-up 4 times. For the 7th race of the Cup Series season, the JGR cars were having another good day at the track. Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., and Ty Gibbs all spent some time inside the top 12 positions. Kyle Larson won the race for the first time this season while competing for Hendrick Motorsports in the number 5 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. The advantage of a quick final pit stop let Larson surge past the leaders, and he then held off the rest of the field in the final 25 laps to win the race and take home the checkered flag. The 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion led for 93 laps, and the last few miles of the race showed how strong his number 5 Chevrolet was. The first short track competition of the year was won by him when he crossed the finish line 1.35 milliseconds faster than his teammate Josh Berry. This victory gave him his 20th victory in the NASCAR Cup Series over the course of his career. While this was going on, Josh Berry, who was driving the number 9 Chevy in place of the injured Chase Elliott, finished in 2nd place, achieving the highest finish of his career in the Cup Series. He was followed by Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, and Kevin Harvick, who finished in the top 5. During the Toyota Owners 400, there were 22 different drivers that took the lead, and there were 8 caution flags shown. But despite having a rocket of a car, Hamlin finished in 20th place, making him the worst performer for JGR. It's possible that impatience played a role, but Denny Hamlin made a questionable choice at the middle of stage. One when he passed the number 15 Rick Ware Racing Ford that was being driven by JJ Yeley. Because the rain prevented practice and qualifying from taking place, NASCAR declared a competition caution on lap 30 so that teams could make a tire change and get a better idea of the amount of wear and tear they could anticipate experiencing throughout the race. On the other hand, Hamlin was caught speeding in the pits, which resulted in his being placed in the last position for the restart on lap 39. Hamlin punted Yeley after 6 laps of the subsequent green flag run because Yeley wasn't moving rapidly enough for Hamlin's tastes. He drove Yeley into the wall with great force, causing significant damage to the back clip. It just so happened that the coverage on FS1 had just shifted to a perspective from inside Hamlin's car, so providing the television audience with a real-time look at the occurrence.
Hard in the wall.
Is out.
Couldn't have seen it any better. It's off the front bumper of the guy we were riding with and listening to.
Yeley finished in next to last place as his crew had to make repairs for numerous laps while he was down. The fact that Hamlin received a penalty for speeding after the competition was halted was not the only challenge he faced. The 48-time winner won Stage 2 and was in the lead on lap 292 when a pit stop that took place under the green flag ended in disaster. In order for the crew to successfully mount a front tire, they had to jack up the right side of his Toyota twice. Because of this, Hamlin is now in 14th place. By lap 352, he had risen up to the third position, but when the other rivals made their next-to-last pit stops, he fell back to the 20th position. Later, during his very last trip through the pits, Hamlin was caught committing a second speeding penalty. What are your thoughts on Denny Hamlin's mistake at the day? Tell us in the comments. Be sure to hit the bell button and subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates. The blunders led to a poor day, but the altercation with JJ was the worst part. It's possible that Yeley may set the tone for a rough week. The hearing for Hamlin's appeal of NASCAR's decision to dock him 25 points and levy a punishment of $50,000 is set for Thursday. It all started when he intentionally drove Ross Chastain into the wall on the penultimate lap of the Phoenix race, and then later admitted on this podcast that he did it on purpose. Even though Hamlin hasn't admitted that the incident with Yeley was on purpose, the video is quite damning. In theory, this shouldn't have any bearing on the outcome of his appeal. In listening to Hamlin explain his side of the Chastain incident, it may be tough for the three members of the appeals panel to keep it out of their minds and concentrate on what he has to say. Before the race on Sunday, it was clear that Hamlin would have a difficult time winning the appeal. Now, let's take a look at Denny Hamlin's recent comments on Kyle Busch that caused people to talk. Kyle Busch has been in the sport for quite some time. He's had some incredible highs and some equally devastating lows by this point. Yet, following the race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the veteran driver had a few words for his fellow competitors.
Completely lost any sense of respect in the garage area between drivers at all, and that's where the problem lies, is nobody gives two shits about anybody else, and it's just a problem where everybody takes advantage of everybody as much as they can. We're all selfish, granted, but there was an etiquette that once did live here. Mark started it. I think Tony really lived by it. I think Jeff lived by it. Bobby Labonte, Rusty for the most part, Dale Jarrett for sure, so I mean it did exist. That's gone.
In discussing this, his former colleague Denny Hamlin also shared his thoughts on drivers no longer showing respect.
Fair statement. I can't refute it. Anyone that follows me throughout my career, I feel like I've been one of those guys. And of course, I've had moments where it looks like I don't live by these ethics or rules, but I talk about them often. But it certainly has changed, absolutely, within our sport. And agree with him, too, that also tried to talk to people, and it's like it just doesn't get through. And so you just feel like you're done talking, right? And so it is a shame. Certainly, I think, I've talked about Kyle Busch. I think he's, one of the fairest people on the racetrack. So I think if you look at how competitive he is and how few of incidents he's been in or started, he's got a really good ratio. So he's probably somebody that we should listen to in that instance. But I have an opinion why it's changed. It's harder to pass now than ever. And that's a fact. My opinion is there's less give and take because you cannot get that spot back.
Right.
Like back in the day of, let's see here, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, those guys. I remember the first 3 to 5 years of my career, I would let people pass on restarts to save my tires to then blow their doors off after 25 laps of green flag racing. You could do it. Passing was just more, it was easier. If your car was significantly better than someone, then you could take it easy at the beginning and then step on their throats in the long run and then just demolish the field. But as tire fall off and lap time variation has changed in our sport, people don't feel like they can give a spot, get a spot. It used to be, we used to say give and take.
Yeah.
It's long gone.
That's all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us in the comments what you think about the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see more of our videos on NASCAR updates. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.